Good afternoon, and thank you for joining the Nanovue Limited November Investor Webinar. I'm Jane Morgan, the Investor and Media Relations Manager. Today, I am joined by Nanovue's founder and CEO, Alfred Chong, and our non-executive chairman, Scott Beaton, who will present the updated investor presentation and engage in a Q&A session to follow. So to ask a question throughout the presentation, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. Alfred, I'll now pass over to you.
Thank you, Jane. Happy to be here. Hello, everybody. I'll start that right away. So a little bit about, I guess you all know a lot about, it's a little about the company. It was founded in 2012. The top 20 shareholders do make up the majority of the company. We are very happy to have Scott join us as the non-executive director. We currently have about 209 million shares outstanding, with about 8 and change on the performance rights issue. We do have about $2 million in cash, and there's currently a rights offering that would double that reserve to allow us to execute moving forward. So some of the investment highlights, Scott has joined us, as I mentioned. We have successfully commercialized the NanoVue product across the Nestlé Professional Services Group. That continues to move forward. Distribution continues worldwide. We just signed a licensing agreement with NTU, which is Nanyang Technological University, that would allow us to expand our line of products and to be able to bring on very, very specially crafted formulation to the public. And obviously, there's a strong product development pipeline with very low capital investment, primarily because of our congruence with A-Star and with NTU and all of the research institutions around Singapore. So let me move forward. So let me introduce you to Scott. We again feel very fortunate for him joining us. Scott, over to you.
Thank you, Alfred and Jane. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are, and thank you for joining today's presentation. As Alfred said, my name is Scott Beaton, and I hold the position in NANOVEU as a non-executive director and chair. I'm very proud to be part of NANOVEU, and I think it's a very exciting time for our company right now. We've got very unique our technology, and our products are amazing, and obviously we're in a point now of commercializing our pipeline of products and technology into sales. And what I'd also like to say is that's the main reason I've come to this business, is because I see the huge upside potential in this business. We have the products, we've got the technology, and we have global demand in every market around the world for our unique position that our company is in. I was also asked to say a little bit of a background about myself for everyone here that doesn't know me. I previously was a founder and managing director of Sequoia Financial Group, which is also ASX listed. More recently, I was the MD and CEO of TZ, where we recapitalized that business and turned around, and it's just recently made its first profit and cash flow positive result. I have a very strong interest in startups, and particularly companies such as Nanovue has a unique proposition for our clients. And what I'm really passionate in is being involved with a company like Nanovue where we can scale up this business and really add a lot of business success, and therefore for shareholders, significant shareholder value. So that's a little bit about me. And again, thank you for joining. And if anyone wants to contact me, feel free to. My phone's always there for you if you want to talk to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. So a little bit of a rendition of the rest of the board members. We have Steve Apperdale, also, and Michael, our resident Australian directors, and another director that's based in the US that's shepherding our US endeavors. The company was, as I mentioned, founded in 2012 as an A-Star startup spin-off, actually. A-Star is the largest research institute in Singapore with over 5,000 scientists, and we constantly go back to them to take technologies and to take products with a lot of research and development already sunk in, and we then take the time to commercialize it. So we're not a one theme, one product line company. We have right now 4, and that will continue to expand as we move forward, primarily because we try to take advantage of what the current trends are in today's market, and then augment that with technology that's relevant, so that we can be able to then tap on growth going forward. NanoShield was actually developed in late 2019, just prior to the actual pandemic. We've been looking at antimicrobial solutions, and fortunately, in the onset of 2021, when the pandemic hit, we were able to quickly, in very short order, provide the market with a solution, introducing the product in mid-2021 with a very, very high technology-based product. So this is something which is a film. The barriers of entries are very high. It's not something that you can just conjure up a formulation and be able to develop a spray and bring it to the market. It's obviously bedded down with science, and we continue to do that with validation from Fortune 100 companies, and then we are allowed to integrate that to the rest of the world. We also have 2, which is custom skins and iFix. I wouldn't talk much about that in the interest of time, but it's all available on our website for you all to take a look at. The market in the antimicrobial coating is very, very large. Obviously, with the pandemic setting on, it has grown and continues to grow. Later on, I will show you how we have integrated a complete end-to-end offering to address the market with just not one product, but with multiple products, so that we become relevant going forward. So a little bit about the journey that we have taken. If you take a look at a simple hospital room, there are many, many moving parts, right? All the way from the bed to the pillows that you sleep on, to the windows that protect the patient, to the desk that they sit on, and to the sink. So all of those are different materials with different properties. We have addressed almost every single one of these surfaces and provided a solution to that. The initiative with NTU addresses textile formulation, so that we become relevant in any kind of a cotton or a linen textile, and that has shown and demonstrated to be effective with over 100 washes. The traditional PVC product that we have literally has the science to repel and kill the virus on contact. We also have a spray solution that we are introducing and have introduced, and that has also better efficacy, so that we can put ourselves into the desks, into the toiletries, into the sink, and then the patient gets protected. So just about every single touch point, we have a solution for. I would like to spend a few minutes to talk about the product. I think because it's not a trivial product. It wasn't something that we didn't take the time to provide that to the market. So as I mentioned, the barriers of entry are very high, primarily because the manufacturing of it was not trivial. The formulation of the material was not trivial. The certification and regulatory involved was not trivial. And if you put all of that together with the validation from a Fortune 100 company, you have a world-class product. So it's something which is very visible, that would be able to be applicable to touch screens. The manufacturing, we were fortunate that one of our existing shareholders lived in Japan and was able to provide the manufacturing bandwidth and the partners to allow us to develop the product in. The optical clarity is there, which is also very unique. It's very easy to install. It's just a simple piece of plastic. You just take it out and you just paste it to just about any surface. The PVC product is very morphable, so you can actually put it onto curved surfaces with an application of a heat gun. And together with all of that, with the testing that and regimen that we have done, and that had taken a long time because these labs at the very onset was difficult to get space, and we were able to do that all the way from Singapore to the US to Japan to Europe to China. They have been literally been tested to provide the kind of efficacy because viruses cannot be seen, and it is through these kinds of testing that we actually get the validation that we need. So this is again a recap of the validation, and I want to mention that we are relevant not only for the SARS-CoV-2, and we remain one of the few that's been tested with the actual virus itself, but we are relevant for bacteria, E. coli, that causes us to be very ill, the stomach flu, which is the norovirus, simple plain old flu or influenza, and staph. And some of these, including the norovirus, actually are would bypass the alcohol rubs that we use. So currently there's an increased spike in norovirus, primarily because even though you rub yourself with alcohol with your hands, that virus is very virulent against that, and then people get the norovirus. So we are relevant not only now in this current pandemic, but foolproofing going forward, because the technology works on penetrating the actual virus and the wall of the virus. We are agnostic to the type or strain of the virus. So whether it is currently the Delta or the initial strains, we don't really care. We are able to penetrate the wall of the virus, and therefore, regardless of what RNA exists within the virus, we stop it dead on its tracks. So then the users do not get sick. We have taken a very, very systematic approach by paying a lot of time and attention to regulatory, sometimes, and that is not trivial to be able to do. We work with the US, the EPA, we work with Australia, we are working in Europe, and in Singapore, we work with the NEA, which is the National Environment Agency, and we're one of now 3 that are listed amongst 45 to 46 companies that have been tested on that. And we remain to have the best efficacy, being able to kill the virus and to be able to last just about as long as 6 to 12 months. So a little bit about the whole family of products. So we're all familiar with the films, which we introduced and delivered to the market in July of last year. We have formulated and developed the spray, and we have called it the liquid film, which allows us to take and contour around surfaces that are not flat. So the same formulation has now been formulated onto a spray, and that can be delivered via a spray gun or by painting. We then extend to textiles, as I mentioned before, because being able to stick to textiles isn't the same formulation as being able to stick on a non-porous structure. So by having all of that in different formulation, we are able to address the entire gambit of what the market needs. Going forward, we have also developed something which is what we call a master batch. And this is important because we now live in a world that is very, very familiar with the pandemic and the viruses. So antimicrobial master batches have been available for some time, but they've never been used extensively. We foresee that that is a trend that's going to take shape and form, so that we can build our formulation to every single plastic table, every single plastic chair, to the spigots that you use to get water from. So by being able to go into this particular value chain right at the upstream, before when the product is actually manufactured, allows us to address a very, very different market space and to make us relevant today and tomorrow and for the foreseeable future. Viruses will come, they will change, they will mutate, and we want to be available, and we want to be have solution for the market, regardless of what shape and form it takes. So some of the products that we have put to the market, we all started with this product, as you can see here. It's a disinfecting tape. We've extended that into the other lines, which includes the masks, which also includes the antiviral mask refresher that I will show you in the next few slides. So we're expanding our line of products and making that available both for consumers as well as for businesses. So a little bit about this slide. We introduced this in August. It is now shipping, and you can go ahead and order that from our website. We will be able to expand our distribution channel just on this. It's important to mention there are many, many masks available today, and some of them are antimicrobial, but having an antiviral mask is also, I guess, not very, it's new, it's innovative, and not many companies have that. We continue to do sales and development. The focus is all about sales. The focus is all about expanding sales. With the current monies that we've raised, we're expanding our sales team. It has grown from just 2 people and a lot of other people doing part-time work to now almost 5 men strong. But even that is still, I would say, still very small. We would expand that aggressively and finding the right talent. We go through distributions in most part, but in areas that we feel that we want to be strong in, particularly in Australia, in the US, we will put our own people out there. So we're expanding and hiring the right people to allow us to address these larger markets. In other markets, such as India, and particularly also in China, we're looking for joint venture partners to grow that particular market. So a little bit about the licensing and the agreements that we have with NTU. This is a pivotal, important part of the company, primarily because a lot of formulations in the past have been licensed. So this are actually been rebatched with formulations that we have developed in concert with our partners. This licensing agreement allows us to co-own the formulation and therefore be able to address how it's made, where it's being made, and to be able to really be part owners of the secret recipe. So we see this starting off with the spray for textiles and then going all the way to master batches. And the results have been made available on October 14 through the announcement to the market. Revenue growth have picked up. We have seen growth every single quarter. We continue to work on larger deals, and we hope to announce that soon to the market. Because we work with B2B most of the time, the gestation of that takes a little bit longer. Big companies take longer to make decisions, and we hope that once they make that, we will be able to report large revenue growth. So again, we started off with Nestle. it's important for us as a partner. They continue to use our products worldwide, and we hope to expand this moving forward. This is what we signed, I think, a couple of months ago. This is for an Australian company. Because of the lockdown, we had some of a setback in terms of timing, but because now it's pretty much open, we expect to see some growth on that as well. So this is a little bit of I would say, a peer comparison review of Nanovue against other products. As you can see, it's we tick a lot of boxes. We have been able to spend a lot of time through regulatory. The class 1 medical device in Europe actually is in the process of being addressed. So that is something that we're looking at. We are okay now with NEA in Singapore, as well as the US, which we just announced yesterday. Particularly, I think it's important to note that from a market cap perspective, we are tiny compared to our competitors, and therefore we contend that we have the most potential as we move forward. So a lot of them are 10 times, 20 times larger than we are. We believe that we address some of the markets that they are in, and if not more. So we hope that with that, we would be able to grow accordingly as we focus on sales throughout the next few quarters. So this is also available, this particular presentation for downloads. So I think this comes to the end of my presentation. I'd like to take some time to address any questions from the floor. So Jane, you are, I guess, you are moderating that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been quite a few come through, Alfred, so let me jump into it. And of course, if you do have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. So an attendee has asked just about updates on iFix. Is there anything you can comment on there?
We remain to continue to have that be, I would say, shepherded by the university. So NTU continues to develop on that project. That is something which I feel has a lot of potential, but we're only a 15-man company. As we expand, all of the resources have primarily been focusing on the NanoShield product line. But we are in good hands. We continue to work with that, and we would be able to announce some development moving forward fairly soon.
And one's just come through from Finola. So Alfred, can you give us an update on the trial orders with Sanyo, and when will we see the revenues come through from this distributor?
Sanyo actually had both Singapore and Malaysia. Singapore, actually they were in Malaysia as well as in Thailand. So the Thailand one had the mask orders. So we also expect that to continue. Bear in mind, they only just received the product because of the logistics delay a couple of weeks ago. So there were some delays in shipments, and therefore we intend to push that particular path strongly into Thailand.
Thanks, Alfred. There's a few questions just about the company's cash position, particularly because we are investing quite heavily in sales and marketing. Do you foresee there's going to be a capital? Maybe what's your comment around the capital requirements?
So that is why we are currently having the rights issue, and it is ongoing. I think it has it ends at the end of December. We feel strongly that we would be able to transact on that, which would give us an additional $2+ million. So combined with the two that we have, about $4+ million is enough for us to execute to what we have set our goals on.
There's another one that's come through. So are there any capital requirements associated with the NTU licensing agreement? And if so, can we give a sense of how this will be funded?
Right now, the formulation that we have proposed with NTU requires essentially in a couple of parts. We do have a licensing fee, which was I think I recall, it's about $10,000. So that is not an issue. The way that we will do the execution of that is through blending. And in the first instance, we would look for a blender locally in Singapore that would help us scale up. So there's not much capital that's required. Once we see traction, once we see execution, then we can take that a step back and seeing whether we would need to then develop a facility to do blending. But that's fairly straightforward. I don't see us investing in real estate, investing on manufacturing just to do all of that. Subcontracting to a blender makes a lot more sense, but we will have the ability to do that at our behest when volumes do pick up. That also allows us to control that. And if we have large orders in different parts of the world, so let's say it is in China or it is in India, to do the same thing, pick a blender, develop the secret sauce, ship them the concentrate, so the blending then occurs in most part in the other geographies. And that allows us to scale, allows us to get costs down, and allows us to execute both in the interest of the customer, our partners, and for the company.
It's just a question on the M&A. Does M&A come into play here, particularly with Scott's experience of coming on the board and being with your M&A experience?
Well, we have a strategy which is organic and to commercialize what we have at the moment. So I haven't been appointed on the board to do M&A for the business, that's for sure. So I don't. That's not our strategy at the moment. It's growth through organic growth. Is there anything else you want to add there, Alfred?
We remain very open to that. I think that with the formulation that we own, we particularly would be very attractive to very large companies, especially when we start looking at reinforcing and expanding some of our regulatory efforts worldwide. So it's not trivial to get EPA in the form and shape and form that we want. It's extremely complex, and some of the monies that were raised is to address that, to be able to make health claims for the EPA, and being able to do that would make us very, very attractive to some of the companies such as Microban. As we all know, they have had not only 7-digit, but primarily hitting hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of revenue growth. So we think that's very, very relevant for our industry and for the company as well.
There's one that just popped up just on that secret blending secret IP. So is the blending secret sauce IP protected with exposed risks of multi-site geolocation, development, and manufacturing?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, even Coca-Cola is a formulation, right? It is something which typically we don't want to patent it. Although I would say that the current formulation that we're working with NTU, the one that's been licensed, has been patented in its base form. With the research collaboration that we are working with NTU, we do not intend to patent it. We intend to co-own this, and that's I would say, a trend that we would have in most of our ongoing transactions, because nobody wants to patent formulation. We would want to own that. Now, to be able to then make that fairly complex is what we are tasked to do. So we'll make the concentrate very difficult to reverse engineer. We'll make the blending very difficult to do, and more important, and most important, the regulation and the certification is the one that would complete the parcel. So let's say if someone magically were able to duplicate that, it is still something that would take years to be able to get the certification, to be able to get the regulatory framework in place, to be able to get the validation from a company, Fortune 100 company that have said this actually works. So you put all of that together, I think then it becomes fairly unique and very hard to replicate.
Wonderful. We've only got time for one more. So I'll just ask, Alfred, what are you most excited about and what should shareholders look forward to over the coming 3 to 6 months?
I think that we continue to get fairly chunky, large opportunities. It's not something that we have in the bag. We don't know whether we will be able to transact on that, but these are very large opportunities. And I think a lot of people, I get asked many times, if with the vaccine, with everything that's happening, are we going to be old news? Is this something which will make us irrelevant? So I think the answer is the opposite. I mean, will we stop using soap if we have a vaccine? I think the answer is no, because we'll probably use more so because we want to be protected, and we are akin to a permanent soap. We are there, we work in the background, we have proven science that it will work and work and work, and with the release of the spray, it would get into areas that we will not be able to get through with the film. So I think, as we open up, this is going to be something that we're excited on, because we want to be part and parcel to countries, companies, and just about anyone that travels, and as they open up.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. That's all we have time for today. And thank you everyone for joining the NVU Investor webinar. Should you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out via the contact details at the bottom of our ASX releases. And a copy of this recording will be available online on our website in the coming days. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye, Jade.